If you're interested in delving into the complex tapestry that is life in Southeast Asia, then keep watching episode 89 of Planet Cruise Weekly as we explore cruising to Singapore.
Love it. One of my favourites.
Well, hello and welcome to episode 89 of Planet Cruise Weekly. And welcome back to the UK's episodic cruise information show where we discuss...
Episodic? Where do we get that word from?
Oh, I'm trying to
Have
change
you gone
things
through
up.
the thesaurus again?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Sorry, but it sounded good.
You've been watching Countdown, haven't you?
I have it. 7. Where we discuss various cruise lines, special destinations and hints and tips, all to do with the world of cruising. I'm Keith, and this week, of course, I am joined by the face of Planet Cruise, Glenn.
Hello, how are you? What are we talking about today then?
Well, Singapore.
Brilliant.
Southeast Asia.
One of my favourites. Now, every week we look at a range of cruise topics, and this episode will be focused on what some describe as the microcosm of Asia, a simply phenomenal cruise and adventure of Singapore. Now, if you're interested in delving into the complex tapestry that is life in Southeast Asia, then a cruise around this region is a perfect way to start, as this will enable you to sample multiple destinations in one trip. Now, having said this, some say that choosing an itinerary that includes a stop in Singapore, you'll be able to experience the entire continent in a single city. So here is Glenn and Keith's guide to cruising Singapore.
So let's very quickly have a look at some of the history of this fascinating part of the world. The city-state was made a British trading colony in 1819, and over the past 2 centuries has become one of the busiest ports in the world. As such, people from all over Asia have set up shop here, which is why modern Singapore is such a mashup of not only cultures but also nationalities. In particular, the city is characterised by its Chinese, Indian and Malay influences, all of which come together to form the heartbeat of Asia.
Now, while the earliest known historical records of Singapore have been shrouded over time, a 3rd century Chinese account describes it as Pu Lo Chung, I know how to do this, or the island at the end of the peninsula. Now, the city went on to be known as Tamax, or the Sea Town, and the city was affected during the Second World War when it was attacked by the Japanese on the 8th of December 1941.
Now, the invaders arrived from the north, confounding the British military commanders who'd expected an attack by sea and from the south. Despite their high numbers, the Allied forces surrendered to the Japanese on Chinese New Year, which was the 15th of February 1942, and it was the largest surrender of British-led forces in history. When the Japanese surrendered in 1945, the island was handed back over to the British military administration, which remained in power until April 1946, when Singapore became a British Crown colony.
Now, in 1959, the growth of nationalism led to the self-government and the country's first general election. The People's Action Party, or the PAP, Lee Kuan Yew became the first Prime Minister of Singapore. In 1963, Malaysia was formed, comprised of the Federation of Malaya, Singapore, Sarawak and North Borneo, now called Sabah. And Singapore's merger proved unsuccessful, however, and less than 2 years later, on the 9th of August 1965, it left Malaysia to become an independent and sovereign democratic nation.
Today, many areas of Singapore are multicultural, and there is evidence of the colonial and wartime past preserved in and around the city. You can visit monuments, museums and memorials, or a real trip through time and take a walk along a heritage trail. It's an incredible, fascinating and completely enrapturing city.
We're going to now feature on some of the local highlights, and there's loads to do here. But Singapore's colourful history means a fusion of cultures have influenced the country and made it a unique destination that it is today. Its ever-changing nature has caused it to appear something of a mystery to many people, and we think the best way to begin to uncover and understand it is to explore both the popular and the lesser-known spots.
So a real highlight is the Singapore Zoo, and it's home to almost 3,000 creatures, with everything from elephants, white tigers and monkeys to tiny little naked mole rats. Arguably one of the most ethical zoos in the world. The animals each have ample space and the ability to roam free as well.
Not good for the tigers and lions, is it?
No, it is limited to certain cases. Yeah, you're not kind of in there with the baboons. Now, for a more unusual experience, what depends who you're there with, I suppose, Singapore also boasts a night safari, and this is the real highlight. It's a separate attraction to the zoo and allows guests to see animals during the night while riding trams through the centre. And they've literally got so many different species of nocturnal animals.
Yeah.
It's simply, you could go back in the day and then go away, and then later in your holiday go back in the night, because it's two completely separate, totally
and it is a
amazing
thing to do,
experiences.
really is one of the things to do at night. Now, something a little bit more different, and it's something we're incorporating now in a lot of our packages that we do, is to combine your holiday with the Formula One racing schedule. Now, we don't just do this in Singapore, we do it in Abu Dhabi and Shanghai and loads of different places. But if you want to be part of this brilliant experience, then you can obviously go to the Singapore Grand Prix. With most activity taking place during the night, it's one of the night Grand Prix, which makes it even more spectacular. The atmosphere in the streets of Marina Bay is undoubtedly infectious and exciting. And as I said, it's one of the most popular packages that we now put together.
And that package normally includes, as people know, doesn't it, tickets to the kind of qualifying, and also tickets to the main day as well.
But I think we packaged it this year where you do sort of 4 days in Singapore, so you get to see all that, do the Grand Prix, and then you haven't even got on your cruise yet.
Which is fantastic. The Singapore Botanic Gardens have been awarded UNESCO World Heritage status, and it's home to hundreds of different species of plant and flower. Visitors will find a spectacular rainforest quarter, the National Orchid Garden, pretty sparkling lakes, and so much more. Gardens by the Bay offers an altogether more futuristic space which boasts extraordinary features such as an aerial walkway, modern sculptures, and kind of technological tree-shaped gardens, amongst others. A really great place to go, whether you're a flower lover or even
That's
not.
one of the best things I've ever done, and again, that's a cross between the Eden project over in Cornwall, which we did this year, and something out of Avatar. It's so futuristic, it is phenomenal, and if you get a chance to go there, tickets are about 12 quid, and it's definitely worth going to visit.
Now, if relaxation is more of your thing, then why not visit the man-made beach at Sentosa? And don't let the name man-made put you off, because it is easily a match for any of Asia's best natural beaches and holds the distinction of being the southernmost point on the mainland continent.
And how do you get to Sentosa?
Well, I think you have to take a boat, dear boy.
No, you don't, you take the cable car.
The cable car?
Take the cable car over, and also on Sentosa you've got Universal. That's there as well.
Yes, that's true.
And you've got loads of other stuff over there. So literally, if you're going to go there, and this is what I'm saying, when you do Singapore, 3 or 4 days is probably the minimum you need there. You can literally spend a day over in Sentosa. That's one of the areas to go and see.
Really lovely. So there we are, you've been warned. Make sure Sentosa is top of your list.
Raffles Court is a truly majestic hotel that dates back to the 1887, and it's hosted a plethora of historical figures including Charlie Chaplin and Rudyard Kipling, and is said to be the origin of gin-based cocktails, the Singapore Sling. The drink is thought to have been created in 1915 by a bartender named Lee Jim Tong Boon in the hotel's long bar.
Now, going from the history and the wonderful, great kind of heritage of the Raffles Hotel and the Long Bar, we then go bang up to date to something else that Singapore's famous for, which is incredible architecture. Probably the pinnacle of such is the iconic, and any kind of picture of the skyline now of Singapore has the Marina Bay Sands, which technically is
a hotel.
3 skyscrapers with a huge kind of cruise ship popped on the top.
Yeah, it is. That's basically it.
And on the top of the cruise ship, you've got a number of bars, you've got a massive open-air swimming pool there.
Well, it's an infinity pool, so you can actually swim up as though you're almost going off the top, which is phenomenal.
And but you're high up.
I think you have to be a resident to swim there, don't you?
I think you do have to be a resident swim. You can pay to go up to the top though.
Yeah, you can.
You know, it's quite pricey, but for the view and for the experience, it really is amazing.
And I think if you can do it in one day, do Raffles one day, you know, Raffles in the morning, Marina Bay in the afternoon, or vice versa, you're literally going from history to modern, and that's what this city is famous for. Now let's move on to food and cuisine.
That's right.
In Singapore. So as a Southeast Asian country, Singapore can certainly compete with its neighbours when it comes to cuisine. There are so many choices ranging from the whole culinary scale, from high-end Michelin-star restaurants to tiny carts selling street food, or hawker food, as it's known locally. Now, you can even find the best of both worlds in Chinatown with Hong Kong soy sauce chicken, rice and noodles, a Michelin-starred street food vendor.
Now, whenever we talk about our time in Singapore, the most important subject we always talk about is food.
And drink.
Well, and drink as well, I suppose you're right. And if you are going, prepare to be blown away by the vast array of dining choices. Glenn's already alluded to some there, but we would especially recommend something called Mod Sin Cuisine, which simply means modern Singaporean cuisine. It's not really a specific style or dish, it's just a way that the Singaporean chefs kind of organically incorporate all the different cultures into their cooking. You really don't have to worry about a lack of choice. All I would say is just go with an open mind.
Yeah, exactly. Markets, hawkers and coffee shops, which are basically street food stalls selling much more than just coffee, offer an array of dishes from across the continent. Now, you'll find several different nations represented in the flavours you're likely to experience.
And while there are also plenty of top-rate restaurants in Singapore, These street stalls are often regarded as the true custodians of, in a sense, the cuisine that's known in Singapore for its quality. And among the dishes you're likely to find are the Indian staples like biryani, and then Malay specialities such as satay chicken, and then varieties of Chinese recipes as well. It's just incredible. It's a cacophony of taste and flavour and a riot of colour as well.
Once you've given your taste buds a buzz, you'll no doubt want to wander around the skyscrapers and shopping malls that line Singapore's streets. Now, if it's retail therapy you're after, then Orchard Road is certainly the place to head to. On the other hand, cultural vultures may want to check out establishments like the Singapore Art Museum or the National Museum of Singapore.
As a popular port of call on many cruise itineraries, Singapore is probably more reachable than many people actually realise. Whether stopping here during an Asia cruise for a few hours or maybe for a few days, when it comes to planning your stay, a list of top things to do is a great place to start. It's our favourite port for a range of ships and sizes, and you could travel here with Royal Caribbean, Princess, Celebrity, P&O, Azamara, Silver Sea, Costa, Holland America, Cruising Maritime, Oceania, just to name just a few.
Basically nearly all of them go into Singapore because it's such a massive hub. So let's have a look at the types of itinerary. Now, most cruise lines offer more than a one-night stay in Singapore as there is so much to do and see, and also depending on what cruise you choose, there are a variety of ways to cruise to and from Singapore. All I would say to you is, if you've got the time to do it, give yourself at least 2 or 3 days in Singapore because there's so much to see, and if you've never been there before, you don't want to miss out.
Coming from the UK, the majority of deals include flights and transfers, and this shouldn't scare you off because many itineraries offer 1 to 3 night stays in hotels at either the start or the end of your cruise, which gives you time to explore on your own. And this really is perfect, as it will give you the chance to either just chill out on the beaches of Sentosa, or go to the zoo, or sit up and get a cocktail on the Marina Bay Sands and enjoy it, or as we said, head to Raffles Bar and Malong Bar and try Singapore steak.
Yeah, there's loads to do. Now, however, if you do have time on hand and don't like flying, there are numerous world cruises which will leave from the UK and include Singapore in their itineraries.
So hopefully that's given you a taster of what Singapore has to offer. We've got lots more information on the website if you do want to head there, or of course you can ring up and you can speak to one of our knowledgeable team. You may even get through to Glenn and he'll be able to talk to you about his personal experiences in Singapore.
The other thing we're going to say to you as well, a lot of the cruises do obviously start and finish in Singapore, but again we can do it the other way around. So if you're starting in Abu Dhabi or Dubai, we can add a couple of days stay there, and then you finish in Singapore, do 3 days at the end. Hong Kong, there's other sort of places to go to. So, but Singapore's really, really good, and as I've said it a couple of times, give yourself at least 3 days there to see as much as you can to go over the jet lag and make sure you see something.
Now, if you've been to Singapore, you want to let us know what it was like, or maybe you're planning to go, you just want to get in touch, or give us some ideas about new shows that we'll be doing in the next few weeks, please do either email us or phone us. I mean, how do they get in touch then?
A number of different ways. You can contact us on Facebook, on Twitter, of course on our YouTube. Email us at hello@planetcruise.com. It's changed from .co.uk, so it's planetcruise.com. Now again, when you go onto our YouTube channel, make sure you like and subscribe. And there's also the bell now which you can hit, and that will give you alerts every time Planet Cruise Weekly is uploaded and let you know you can start watching it. The other way to do is go onto our website. Of course, that's got all the cruises on there. If you want to see Singapore cruises, type in Singapore, and again, they can click to the link on that one, can't they?
They can do indeed. And a big thank you to everyone who did get in touch over the past week. Once again, we only have time to mention a couple, so a big thank you to Desroy White. And Desroy said, excellent video, can't wait to sail on this new fantastic ship. And he's referring, of course, to our video about the MSC Seaside, which indeed looks incredible.
It does. So as I said, keep watching the show. We've got loads of things coming up over the next few weeks. And we always say to you, contact us if you want to actually learn about anything else, and we'll see if we can incorporate it in the ship as well. But hopefully you keep enjoying the shows, and we've got a new show coming up next week.
Until then, keep safe, stay sailing, and we'll speak to you soon.
Cheers guys, bye-bye.